Good evening. Both existential as well as Gestalt theoretical approaches takes a holistic approach as well as looks at the human being as a whole, taking into account their perceptions, their behaviors, their experiences. However, existential counseling encourages the client to take responsibility for their choices as well as acknowledging that they have free will and recognizing that they have the freedom to make decisions that are meaningful. Whereas in Gestalt counseling, clients are encouraged to take ownership for their thoughts, their feelings, their behaviors that align with their most authentic version of themselves. And that's provided by the book published by Couc in 2021, which is called Theory and Practice of Counseling and Psychotherapy Enhanced. Another difference between existential as well as Gestalt counseling is that existentialism is diverse with a different perspective on human nature depending on the version of existentialism, such as religious, atheistic, or anti-religious existentialism, with the focus on things such as loneliness as well as death. And Gestalt counseling and that theory focuses on the perception, awareness, feelings, their thoughts, and being in the present. And that is provided by Tan's book, Counseling and Psychotherapy, a Christian Perspective, that was published in 2022. Some strengths of existential therapy in this theoretical approach is that it does emphasize self-awareness. It emphasizes the freedom to choose free will as well as being able to find authentic meaning in your life. It does have a respect for the person. It does not agree with dehumanizing a person in any manner. However, it does deal directly with discussing matters of death, which is something that is inevitable, freedom, as well as isolation. Instead of avoiding them, it addresses it head on. And that is provided by Tan's book, Counseling and Psychotherapy, a Christian Perspective, published in 2022. Another strength of existentialism and counseling is provided by Couc's theory of practicing counseling and psychotherapy is that this theory is phenomenological, meaning that it focuses on the lived experiences of the client, giving meaning to their worldview and their perceptions as they see it. A strength of Gestalt therapy is that it focuses on the here and now and the experiencing in the present. And that's a strength because sometimes clients come in and they're focused on things that happened in the past and they're unable to move forward from what happened in the past and be aware of what's going on right now around them. Weaknesses of the two is coincidentally the strength. Being that existentialism deals with matters of death and meaningless, its weakness is because some clients may not want to deal with the inevitability of life. And another weakness is that it lacks a clear therapeutic structure. It is vague, or if they're leaving counselor from counselor to practice in their own way. A weakness of Gestalt therapy is that, again, focusing on the present, sometimes it does not address the issues that happen in the client's past, which could be the reason why they're in counseling in the first place. Also, too, Gestalt theoretical approach is confrontational, it's directive, and sometimes when you take the confrontational approach, that can be overwhelming for a client and it can force the client to completely walk away as well as to prematurely end the helping relationship. A way that each theory is compatible and incompatible with biblical concepts. Because existentialism focuses on things such as death and isolation, those are negative depending on if you are the atheistic or the anti-religious existentialist. Because the scripture tells us in John 3, verse 16, that Jesus for God so loved the world, so that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So biblical teachings emphasizes that there is life after death, and if you are an atheistic or anti-religious existentialist, that is not congruent with what the Bible teaches. Additionally, as a Methodist, the Apostle Creed tells us that Jesus was crucified, died, and buried, and on the third day he rose again and he ascended into heaven. A weakness in Gestalt therapy and how it can be incompatible is that because it holds on to the positive side of human nature too much, it doesn't address the darker side, such as sin, being sinful, the fallen, and the capability of evil, such as the biblical references to Cain and Abel, the first sin committed by Adam and Eve, Lucifer's fall from heaven. Based on each theory, a limitation that I could think of is because both focus on subjectivity and subjectivity is based upon the client, it can make it difficult for you to create a measurable outcome. And this can be a problem because the fourth part of the treatment planning process includes how changes will be measured and how outcomes will be demonstrated. And that is something that is provided in the Diagnosis and Treatment Planning Skills textbook that was published by authors Alan Schwitzer and Lawrence Rubin. Thank you.